Our MS460 oil pump install. Attempt to do a pretty detailed video here. Obviously we have our snap ring in. If you're watching this series, that snap ring must be on the crank. So there's that. This O-ring must be installed. I'm going to put this in place where you can see it. Let me give you a pointer. It's going to go right there. This is going into the crankcase, and it goes in there and comes up in here and onto the bar plate. So we're going to install that right now. Right there. It just lays in place. Now the next thing is the oil pickup. And that goes up into the crankcase with the filter on the end of it. So installing that next. It looks like this, and you want it going up into the crankcase this direction. And there's a tab that helps locate it inside of the pocket, and we'll see if we can get in there to that. Here we go, and the tab goes down in this pocket right here. We're going to put it in this hole and head it in that direction. Okay, now we've got it to this point. We're just going to push it down in there with our finger as far as we can go, and then we'll take a straight, blunt screwdriver and press it down in there. Okay, now we're in there. Give you a little different angle. There we go. Alright, the next thing we're going to put in is our oil pump itself. I'll give you a picture of that, give you a part number. Here we go. The part number is 1128-647-0461A. Now, a bit of information here. If you're interested in the high output oil pump, and corresponding with builders and people who are very, very familiar with this saw, after a certain serial number in the MS460, this was standard equipment. So bear with me just a moment. Alright, all 460s after serial number 161290389 came with a high output oil pump assembly, which means they have the 1.1 stroke piston pump and the associated control bolt. Alright, and the complete pump part number is 1128-640-3250. And then I have here the numbered assemblies, 1128-290-2306 in the 046s. This is in a correspondence between me and Mr. Hot Sauce 101. If you're interested in that, you can pause this video and read that information right here. Now, having said that, if you wish to build your own pump, if you do not have this, I have a video that I did and outlined this in very much detail with all the part numbers in upgrading standard oil pumps. And I'll show you that right quick. If you go into my channel and scroll through and look for oil pumps, chainsaw oiler videos, there's 2 videos there. One of them is Stihl high output oil pump oiler, 361, 362, 441, 046, 460, 461. In that video, all the part numbers, if you want to build a pump from scratch to the high output 1.1, it's right there. And then the other video is Stihl MS460 660 oiler interchange ? And I detail that, and just so you don't have to go watch that video, no, they do not interchange. So within those 2 videos, a great deal of information on what we're doing right here. But continuing on. Oil pumps going in. Here's our oil pump. You want to make sure, again, I keep reiterating this, everything is clean, free, and well lubed. Dirt and installing parts that are no good that's not something we want to do. Now, I have some blue high temperature wheel bearing grease. I'm just going to put a little bitty tiny dab of that right there on that gear. So now we're going to install this. Our interface between the O-ring goes here, and then our pickup line goes right here. And had a lot of requests about this particular information, details, how to get that in there. So just kind of drops in place, no pun intended. And that's kind of funnel shaped, cone shaped, male female. Goes right in there like so. And then you have 2 small torque screws that go right here. Here they are. And let me give you the measurements on those. So here's our little metric scale. It looks like 11.5 millimeters thread length on that. Okay. So we got 2 of those. Drop those in place. And this is pretty much standard for all Stihl professional saws, this installation, so this will go for many saws. And again, T27, tool of your choice. The screwdriver type is great for speed. And then this one, this is a Stihl branded tool. It comes with a lot of their trimmer units. You can get a lot more torque out here with this T-handle style. But as far as speed, I like the screwdriver type. A lot of people will use a power tool. I prefer not to, for obvious reasons. Speed kills threads if they're cross-threaded. Alright, torquing those pretty good. Firmly. Alright, there we go. Now, next, our oil pump drive gear. Again, if you look in this area right here, we'll see 1128 and the Stihl emblem. Right there we go, 1128, and the Stihl piece. I'm doing this to show that it is all OEM parts that I'm putting within this saw. It may be that I sell this saw someday, or somebody may want to see just exactly what it is I'm doing. Now, something of interest, the threads on this crank on this side are left hand. You know that if you assembling with me, building a saw with me, left-handed threads. Okay, we got that in. The scatter shield, you'll notice here it has a dish that fits over the worm gear that drives the oil pump. So we'll turn that dish down over. What does that do exactly? If you have a clutch spring to break or explode, come apart, that will protect your oil pump and drive gear. So those parts are not cheap, but in the case that happens, they will be protected. And again, left-hand threads. All the way down. All of what we're doing here will be made easier if you remove the brake band, but it's not extremely difficult to do with that in place. So I have a spark plug installed in the cylinder where we can build compression to allow us to tighten this down somewhat. Alright. Next, I personally like to install the clutch drum. Slip that down in there and then rotate it. I do this before the bearing, or rotate it until it engages the wire. And that's something else. Let me show you that. The oil pump drive gear arm has a wire and it engages this right here. So that's what I'm talking about. So we'll slip this in here, rotate it until they engage. Sometimes it's hard to tell when that happens. There we go. Maybe right there. Now we're going to install the bearing. Okay. Next we're going to install the drive sprocket. Like so. And finally this washer. And the way I've described this in the past, imagine you're throwing a frisbee or a flying disc. You want it turned this way, like so. Got to have enough room to engage our E-clip. So there we go, and then finally the E-clip itself. Many ways to do this. I prefer to use a pair of needle nose pliers. Like so. And that washer there should spin freely and be on the shoulder of the crank when you got it in there correctly. Alright, there's that. Next we're going to install the flywheel. The rest, as we said in the 660 build video, if you've got this far, you can do it. I'm just going to provide a little bit of, I don't know, specs or tech, if you will, on this. In our disassembly, we did not remove the coil assembly set from the factory. I see no reason to remove it. We were able to clean out the pocket very well. Here's our flywheel nut, and again, during work with this and just in storage, leave the nuts on the threads, spider on the crankshaft, and that'll protect your crankshaft while you're doing other things. So keep that in mind. Our keyway is in the saw. Get my pointer, trusty pointer. It is right here. There's our key. Again, we'll do a little demo explanation. How the moon of the key, the curvature, goes inside the crankshaft. There's a slot that this sets in. The moon, the curved part, sets inside the crankshaft. Keep that in mind. Have a flywheel weight video where we weigh the flywheels. Find this poly flywheel concept very interesting. So here's our flywheel. Part number 1128 400 1211. We see our Stihl logo there. So bear with me just a moment. Alright. We look inside there and we find our keyway and we line that up with the key. Okay, we're interlocked. Everything's set together nicely. Here's our flywheel nut. I believe it's a 16 millimeter. Get a proper reach for that. That was incorrect. It is in fact a 13 millimeter. Looking right here, 13 millimeter. Here's our flywheel nut. There we go. Again, starting stuff by hand, get it started. 4, 5, 6 threads or more. And these are standard right hand threads. We want this snug. You'll notice I'm using a stubby ratchet. There's no need to over torquing any of this stuff, but it does need to be tight. And like I say, this is a poly flywheel. I'm using my hand, stubby ratchet. Tighten this down, and I recommend just a couple of drips on the end of the crankshaft and the nut to hold that in place. Let it set up before you try to run it. Okay, there we are. We're installed. I have my feeler gauges here, and we'll give you a reading on this. I'll remove my spark plug where I can turn this easy. Okay. Okay. Alright. Now, standard procedure, I may have told you in previous videos, a business card, piece of cardboard, boom. That's done in a lot of saw classes, but we're gonna be more exacting with this. All right, this is 0.584. That does not go. This is 0.022. Does not go. 0.021. And we go. So right here, see if I get that to focus. There we go. Now it's coming in. Right there is the gauge that fits. Alright. So I guess the next piece of videos will be assembly, final assembly, run, first startup, etc. I hope you found this interesting and helpful, and I thank you for watching. And finally, whatsoever your hands find to do, do it with all your might.